The Tennessee Titans fired now former general manager Jon Robinson earlier this week, and unfortunately, I do think this is a sign of things to come. The Titans have been a successful franchise over the past 6 years, and are one of two franchises to have a winning record during this time, the other being the Kansas City Chiefs. Unlike the Chiefs, they haven't won a Super Bowl, and as we know in the NFL, nothing lasts forever. And the Titans' future is not dim per se because they are a solid team, but it's certainly not bright either, and I think they are in a bad situation moving forward. Firing a general manager mid-season in a year where you're going to the playoffs is never a good sign of things to come. And I made a video last April about how they were on the brink of disaster, and I think this still holds true. And we are going to break everything down in today's video regarding the Titans' past, current situation, and future, and without further ado, let's begin. When saying the Titans are in serious trouble, there's a couple things that need to be clear. Serious trouble is relative to the expectations teams had entering this year versus how they are performing. The Denver Broncos are a perfect example. For clarity, I don't think a team Tennessee plays twice a year and the Houston Texans are in serious trouble because everyone knew entering this year they were going to be a bad football team. No one expected the Texans to be a sneaky playoff team, and if things went right, they could have went into Buffalo in the postseason and beat the Bills. Nobody was expecting that. But for Tennessee, this goes back a couple of years, and in 2019, they caught lightning in a bottle and made it all the way to the AFC Championship game. The run was very unexpected, and within that run, they beat the Bill Belichick Patriots in what was Tom Brady's final game as a New England Patriot. They then went into Baltimore and beat the Ravens with a score of 28-12 in what was Lamar Jackson's MVP season and a year where the Ravens went 14-2. Nobody expected this run from them, and eventually they lost to Kansas City in the AFC Championship game and ultimately the future Super Bowl champions. There's no shame in losing to Kansas City in the playoffs, especially in Kansas City. The next year, they lost in the wildcard round of the playoffs to the Ravens, who got revenge from the loss in the previous postseason. In 2021, the Titans followed it up with a 12-5 record and the number 1 seed in the AFC, but lost in their first playoff game to the Cincinnati Bengals with a score of 19-16, and in a game where Ryan Tannehill threw not one, not two, but 3 interceptions. The defense sacked Joe Burrow 9 times, and this was a game you can make the case Tennessee should have won. And when they lost this game, none of us knew at the time, but it would be A.J. Brown's final game as a member of the Titans. Within this game, A.J. had 5 catches for 142 yards and a touchdown. The Titans didn't want to pay him, and he was traded to the Eagles, and the rest you could say is history. Fast forward to December of 2022, and the Titans' future is not bright. Ryan Tannehill is 34 years old, and while he has missed some time this year, he has not been a great quarterback in the games he's played. In their 2 most recent games against the Bengals and Eagles, in games against playoff-caliber opponents, the Titans went 0-2 and were outscored 55-26 in these games. Both the Bengals and Eagles game plan was very simple, and it's not an easy game plan because we have seen many teams try this and fail, but their game plan was to stop Derrick Henry and to make Ryan Tannehill beat them, and it worked. Derrick Henry in these games had 28 carries for 68 yards for an average of just 2.4 yards per carry, and for as solid of a team as Tennessee is, they could not overcome this and are now a 7-5 team just a few weeks after beating the Packers at Lambeau Field 27-17. And I do want something clear within this video. The Titans' remaining schedule isn't too bad in terms of opponents, and I do think they will go 3-2 or 4-1 and finish with 10 wins and ultimately win the AFC South. The AFC South right now is one of the worst divisions in football, as the Texans are the worst team in the NFL, the Colts are probably going to finish with a top 5 or 7 pick, and Jacksonville has had back-to-back number 1 overall picks. For anyone saying the NFC North with the Bears, Lions, and Packers, while I'm not crowning that division, the Lions just beat the Jags by 26 points in Week 13. My point is the Titans are going to cruise to a third straight AFC South title. And a lot of the time on the channel, we talk about teams being in bad spots and what they can do to improve, and they get closer to winning a Super Bowl. And a lot of the time, we talk about the glass being half full or half empty. And we say either go all in with the current roster or blow it up and rebuild. The problem with the Titans is they're not in a glass half full or half empty situation. Because remember, 2022 will be their third straight season of double-digit wins, which makes this an extremely unique situation. Instead of the glass being halfway full for the Titans, I think it's more of a 3/4 of the way full, and the problem is they can't fill the glass the rest of the way, leaving them in this awkward no-man's land situation to the point where they fire their general manager, despite having what will probably be 3 straight division titles and 3 straight double-digit win seasons. And this is a problem because they have a very good coach in Mike Vrabel who is not going to have multiple losing seasons. Sure, they may have a year where they go 7-10 or 8-9, but enough credit cannot be given to Mike Vrabel for how much he gets out of his guys. He truly maximizes what they can do. But at some point, you have to realize, hey, Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry, and Treylon Burks is not going to beat the upper echelon teams in the AFC in January unless we get lucky and they commit careless turnovers. The Titan style of play, of clawing and scratching their ways to victory, can work on one huge stipulation. You cannot, under any circumstance, have Ryan Tannehill lose you games. And I'm sure there's people that think, well, quarterback isn't a problem because we're going to seamlessly transition to Malik Willis. I liked Malik a lot in the draft process, and I want him to play well at the NFL level, and think a quarterback-receiver duo for the next few years of him and Treylon Burks is very fun to think about. But that's a lofty expectation at the moment, and Malik is not the long-term quarterback solution, at least at the moment. Could he become that player? That's also a stretch, as in 2022, he is currently 14 of 34 for 157 yards, no touchdowns, and an interception. He started a game against the Chiefs and went just 5 of 16 in that game for 80 yards. The Titans also have something else to worry about, and that is the future of franchise running back Derrick Henry. He is now 28 years old and is approaching the dreaded 30-year-old mark for running backs. He will have over 300 carries for the third time in 4 years if he stays healthy for the remaining few games in 2022, and there is a lot of wear and tear on his body. He also had 395 carries during his Heisman-winning season at Alabama back in 2015. Their run game is very simple. Feed Derrick Henry the rock, and how he plays is, in a lot of ways, how the offense will go. He currently has 258 carries on the year in 12 games, which is an average of 21.5 per contest. Ryan Tannehill is second on the team in carries with 29 on the year, and that goes to show there is not a lot of diversity in this offense. It is very much King Henry and everyone else. So pretty quickly, we are looking at a team with a 34-year-old quarterback who isn't a great quarterback by any means, and a franchise that's going to have to replace him, a 28-year-old running back going on 29 with 300 carries in 3 of the last 4 years, and a passing game that isn't exactly there either because the receivers on the team are not good outside of Treylon Burks, who has been coming into his own recently. They had one of the best receivers in football in A.J. Brown and let him go for, I don't want to say a measly first-round pick, because first-round picks are a huge deal, but A.J. Brown and this team right now would benefit this team so much and make other teams respect another part of their offense that they currently do not. With either the Dolphins or Bills more than likely going to be the number 5 seed in the AFC and travel to the number 4 seed, who we presume to be Tennessee in the postseason in a little over a month, I think the max this team can go this year is the divisional round, and even that's a stretch. Because if Tua or Josh Allen get going, Tennessee does not have the horses to keep up with either team, as they are 26th in scoring offensively. And when they inevitably lose in the postseason again, there's going to be a flurry of questions for the next general manager, such as, who is the future quarterback for the Tennessee Titans? And to further clarify the Mike Vrabel being a good coach comment, what this means is Tennessee will never go 2-15 or 3-14 under Vrabes, nor am I claiming they will. They're going to be picking in each and every draft moving forward in the 19 to 27 area of the first round, which obviously isn't bad, but they're not going to be selecting near the top of the draft like the Jags have for quite a while, and get Trevor Lawrence, or like the Texans will probably soon have Bryce Young. And I don't think the Texans are going to be competing for an AFC South title next year, but the point is we're looking at a future in the AFC South with 2 number 1 overall picks in Lawrence and Young, and I ask the Titans this: is Malik Willis the answer? Arguably, the worst part about this for the Titans is, even if they want to play Malik at the moment, to truly see what they have in him, because guys, I don't think 14 of 34 for 157 yards is an accurate representation of how he would play over the course of a few games and how he would improve with time in the league. But the reality is they can't play him because that would cause the narrative of benching Ryan Tannehill and the inevitable drama this would cause. Oh, and by the way, they have another situation to monitor on this team, and it's at the left tackle position. Taylor Lewan is a 3-time Pro Bowler, and by every metric has had a good career for the Titans as a former first-round pick. But we are looking at a player who will be 32 years old entering 2023 and has torn his ACL in 2 of the last 3 seasons. 32 years old at left tackle and having 2 season-ending knee injuries in the past 3 years is something all Titans fans are going to be on edge about. Could he play one more year for them? Sure, but just being realistic, you have to think about the future at left tackle as well. Dennis Daly is the left tackle for the Titans who has replaced Lewan, and this is per PFF, but in 326 pass blocking snaps, Daly has allowed 9 sacks, which is tied for the most out of any tackle in 2022, along with Jonah Williams of the Bengals, who has allowed 9 sacks in over 530 passing snaps. So the rate at which Daly gives up sacks versus the rate Jonah Williams gives up sacks are not close. The Titans obviously have a full offseason to get better and to try and figure these things out, but I do not like where this team is headed because very quickly you can be looking at a 2, 3, 4 year span of not winning a playoff game and not really getting a whole lot better in the process. Look at the Atlanta Falcons, for example. Ever since the infamous 28-3 loss back in Super Bowl 51, they have one postseason appearance, which was the following year, and have not been back since. I don't think the Titans are necessarily going down this route, due in large part to how bad the AFC South is, but the concept of being where they are and not committing either way, or just kind of hoping something happens, applies. And I look at this team and the future of the Tennessee Titans and genuinely have no idea where this is going. I love Mike Vrabel, but with how they botched a 2020 first-round pick in Isaiah Wilson isn't a good look, and when they had a star player ready to get paid, they chose to trade him away. And guys, that's not a good look either. And I think things are going to get worse in Tennessee before they get better. And that's all I have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please like the video and subscribe to the channel, as it would mean the world and be very much appreciated. Until next time, as always, please be safe and have a great day. Love you guys.